Blues has had a long and fruitful relationship with the minor pentatonic scale and the 6-tone blues scale, which adds a flat 5 or blue note to minor pentatonic. But in the major blues, there's a 7-note scale called Mixolydian that we can combine with these other scales to add a little more melodic sweetness to our licks. Mixolydian can be seen as a way to merge minor and major pentatonic phrases, since Mixolydian gives us the 4 and flat 7 of minor pentatonic and the 2 and 6 of major pentatonic. In this lesson, we'll be focusing on using Mixolydian over the 1 chord in a standard major blues progression. First, let's establish our key. In these examples, our 1 chord will be on B flat. But remember, the patterns we're about to look at can be positioned in any key. First, I'm going to map out the Mixolydian scale on that 1 chord position, using a 3 notes per string pattern. Mixolydian is considered a natural dominant scale because it contains the intervals that make up a dominant 7th chord or arpeggio. From the root, we have a major 3rd, 5th, and flat 7th. So these are our 1 chord tones within the larger Mixolydian pattern. Memorize where these chord tones are in the pattern because they act as a skeleton and strong target notes for our licks and phrases. The other tones in the scale can be thought of as colour tones, the major 2nd, 4th, and major 6th. So let's start by building some simple 4-note phrases that end on one of the chord tones. For example, here I target the root or 1 of the scale. Here I land on the 5 of the scale. Now on the 3rd of the scale. And now on the 7th. What this trains both your ears and fingers to do is to establish a destination and purpose for your phrases, to make them go somewhere, and more often than not, a chord tone is the strongest destination and helps to put your phrasing journey into a melodic context. We can also use these chord tones in the form of a dominant 7th arpeggio as a lead-in for our phrases. For example, here I start by playing the arpeggio from 1 to 7, and then flesh out the phrase using Mixolydian's colour tones. The major 3rd is a strong chord tone on which to resolve your phrases, but it sounds even better if we move to it from the minor 3rd, 1 fret below. For example, here I bend from the minor to major 3rd. Another example using a hammer-on. Or we could repeat the minor major 3rd movement across 2 octaves. fourth of the scale also works effectively when we resolve it down to the third. Experiment with using double stops. This is where we play 2 notes at a time. The scale pattern can help us out with this. For example, another example. Up until now, we've been playing Mixolydian in one position, based on the 6th string root of the 1 chord. But for a higher pitched voicing of the scale, we can extend the pattern to a new position. I'm just going to move up the neck a few frets to accommodate this. Now let's build the new B-flat Mixolydian pattern. So I've built another 3 notes per string pattern higher up, but you can see how it connects to the previous pattern. Just like before, make sure you can arpeggiate that 1 chord using the 1, 3, 5 and flat 7 in that new position. Next, go through the same exercises as before, and even the same lick ideas in that new position. Once you're confident with playing in both positions, it's time to merge the 2 positions so you can move freely and fluidly between them. First, play out the scale on each individual string across both positions. Next, arpeggiate the 1 chord on each individual string across both positions. This should really help to connect the 2 positions seamlessly in your own mind. Then it's just a case of building licks that move between the patterns. The great thing about this is you'll naturally incorporate techniques such as slides and large fret jumps as you move between positions. This will produce more dynamic playing that doesn't sound boxed in. For example, now, we've only covered the 1 chord so far, but it's practical to focus on 1 chord at a time before we look at playing through changes. However, if you want to know how to position Mixolydian over the 4 and 5 chords in these same positions, visit the lesson page for diagrams and other supplemental content. Cheers.